Hello, aspiring hunters. Welcome to the Hunter Experience. The rebirth of Kite, one of the most fascinating characters in the Hunter x Hunter series, has always sparked much discussion among fans, especially when considering his return as Reina after his loss during the Chimera Ant arc. Many wonder about Kite's true power, especially after his rebirth, and what exactly this means for the balance of the series. Given the complexity of his abilities and the depth of his connection to Nen, it is natural that questions about his strength, particularly in comparison to Meruem, the Chimera Ant King, become even more intriguing. If you're prepared for the incredible Hunter journey, click like and subscribe to the channel to join our troop. Don't forget to comment on who your favorite character is in Hunter x Hunter. Now, let's continue with this incredible story. First, it's important to remember that Kite, before his return as Reina, was already an extremely skilled figure and one of the greatest Nen users alongside other hunters such as Gon, Killua, and Kurapika. He was trained by none other than Isaac Netero, the then chairman of the Hunter Association, who is widely considered one of the greatest Nen masters in history. However, what Kite achieved was something unique, related to his talent and the way he manipulates his abilities, particularly through a peculiar skill called Crazy Slots. The ability to summon random weapons via a roulette wheel, each with its own specific power, is a clear example of Nen's unpredictability and complexity. However, the greatest mystery surrounding Kite is not just his ability, but what happens after his loss, and the return that raises so many questions. Upon dying, Kite is reincarnated, which leads us to ask, how was this possible? The answer seems to be related to his Crazy Slots ability and its interaction with his very soul. During the battle against P2, one of the Queen's royal guards, Kite is fatally wounded. However, before his death, his soul finds itself in a situation that allows for reincarnation. This phenomenon is directly tied to Kite's strong bond with Nen, and more specifically, his unique ability. In terms of power, Crazy Slots is not just limited to simply summoning weapons. The true essence of this ability lies in the fact that Kite does not choose the weapons directly. He makes a pact with the roulette, and through this contract, he summons weapons corresponding to the number that appears in the spin. The randomness of the weapons reflects the idea that while Kite possesses immense power, he does not have complete control over what he will face in battle. However, this ability holds immense strength, as the weapons that appear are always powerful and perfectly suited to the situation at hand. This is exemplified in Kite's various fights, such as when he faces Chimera Ants, and the roulette ends up selecting the right weapon to defeat them efficiently. Now, addressing the question of Kite's rebirth and why he would be stronger after death, there is an interesting aspect in which Kite stands out. By losing his life and being reincarnated, he returns with a new energy, stronger than ever, due to the power of his soul, which grows with the experience of death and rebirth. It is important to consider that in the world of Nen, abilities can grow stronger after death, something we see in other characters in the series. In Kite's case, the power of his soul may have been strengthened by the experience of death and his connection to Nen. He came to understand his ability on a deeper level, and this was reflected in greater power after his reincarnation. The relationship between Kite and Meruem, the Chimera Ant King, is another crucial point in this discussion. Meruem is undoubtedly one of the most powerful characters in the series, embodying infinite evolution. He possessed exceptional physical strength and Nen, along with a rapid learning ability that made him practically unbeatable. However, Kite's power after his reincarnation is much more subtle, yet equally impressive. Not only does he possess the ability of resurrection through Crazy Slots, but he also benefits from a much deeper understanding of his own existence and Nen. Kite's strength, unlike Meruem's, is related to his understanding of the limitations of his power and the contract he made with the roulette. He is not simply a warrior with brute force like Meruem, but rather a being who comprehends his place in the universe and knows how to use his ability effectively and strategically. To understand the relationship between Kite and Meruem, we first need to examine the Chimera Ant Queen. In the Chimera Ant arc, the queen is portrayed as an entity with a clear purpose: to give birth to offspring that surpass the physical and evolutionary limitations of previous Chimera ants. Her mission to create the Chimera Ant King, someone who could dominate and control his entire species, culminates in the birth of Meruem. However, what the queen did not anticipate was that his birth would not be the only important one. In reality, what she created was a generation that could forever change the fate of her species, especially through Kite. Kite, as revealed in his return, is a sort of twin brother to Meruem, and this is because they share the same maternal origin. They were born from the same Chimera Queen, with the same evolutionary cycle in mind, but the circumstances surrounding their birth are far more complex than they initially seem. While Meruem was created with the goal of becoming the Chimera Ant King, he is actually the result of a larger evolutionary process, leading us to question Kite's role in that same process. In terms of physiology, Kite's birth is unique. As mentioned, Kite reincarnates after his death into a human body, but this phenomenon is not merely a coincidence or a consequence of the crazy slot's ability. The explanation for his return is directly tied to his connection with the Chimera Ant Queen and Meruem. After his death, his soul finds a new body, a human fetus within the queen. However, this fetus is not just any human. It is actually the result of a fusion between the most powerful elements of humanity and the characteristics of chimera ants. Thus, what we have is not merely a simple reincarnation, but a transformation carrying the potential to shape not only Kite's destiny, but also that of the chimera ant species itself. The true relationship between Kite and Meruem goes beyond the simple fact of being biological siblings. They are, in essence, reflections of each other products of the queen's evolutionary experiment. Meruem, as the product of the first generation, is the perfect chimera ant king, physically unbeatable and intellectually brilliant. However, his growth and evolution were limited by his environment and the restrictions of his species. In contrast, Kite, being a brother created under the same conditions, possesses not only the experience gained during his human life, but also a connection to the evolutionary forces of the chimera ants. This makes him someone capable of transcending what Meruem represented. While Meruem was destined to be the peak of physical evolution, Kite is the reflection of spiritual and mental evolution, capable of integrating the best of both worlds. If we look at the evolution of the chimera ant queen, we see that she not only gave birth to Meruem and Kite, but was also responsible for an entire generation of chimera ants, including the royal guards who were created to serve Meruem. Throughout her life, the queen underwent immense evolution, creating beings that went beyond the biological limitations imposed on ants. This leads us to believe that the queen may have given birth to Meruem and Kite with a much greater purpose, not just to create a leader, but to create a legacy that would usher in a new era for the chimera ant species. The birth of Kite, therefore, cannot be seen as merely a coincidence. The fact that he was conceived within the queen and reincarnated in a human body suggests that he possessed something Meruem did not, a deeper connection with evolutionary forces that transcend the physical. He is, in fact, the potential for the chimera ant's ultimate evolution, not because he was created to dominate physically, but because he carries with him the ability to adapt and evolve, as we saw after his death and resurrection. Kite, upon being reincarnated, not only possesses the memories of his previous life, but also brings with him the ability to evolve and change his form and power. This is related to his profound understanding of Nen and how he manipulates his own essence. Kite's crazy slot's ability, which allows him to summon random and powerful weapons, reflects his adaptability and how he transcends the limitations imposed by randomness. At the moment of his death and reincarnation, his soul began to carry a greater force, a force that can only be explained by his unique connection to the chimera ant queen. And it is in this process that he becomes perhaps the true king of the chimera ants, not by being the physical leader, but by being the one who understands and manipulates the essence of evolution. Meruem, in his quest for absolute power, was always constrained by his own limitations and his own vision of power. He believed that dominating others and expanding his own strength was the key to success. However, Kite's power is much more subtle. Deeper. He is not just a product of the chimera ant biology, but a fusion of the human and the chimera. Someone who transcends the simple idea of physical strength and becomes the embodiment of true evolutionary power. The power to adapt, to grow, and to evolve into something beyond himself. If we analyze Meruem's own development, we realize that he also underwent a significant transformation after meeting Kamugi, the human, with whom he formed an emotional bond. This relationship brought him a new perspective on power and humanity. However, his abrupt death after his final confrontation with Netero interrupted this process of evolution. Meruem never had the chance to fully explore the potential of his own soul, while Kite, through his reincarnation, has the opportunity to continue growing and evolving. Thus, Kite not only represents a threat to Meruem's empire, but also the true culmination of the Chimera Ant Queen's evolutionary experiment. Hunters, that was our video for today. Leave a like if you enjoyed our video, subscribe to the channel as it is still very new, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then.